This is the entrance to Lancaster Cemetery. The cemetery is on a hill high above the main part of the town. This one has a clear inscription, and it's in memory of Anne, the wife of Thomas Hartley, who died in 1863, and Thomas, who followed in 1868. She was only 27 and he was only 37. This is to the Satterthwaite family, Robert and his wife Mary, and then 3 of their children are noted below. Well, they've allowed some areas to grow wild, which is quite nice, but they don't stop you reaching the stones. We always enjoy a good angel. This one's got flowers in both hands. The inscription appears to be for the members of the Chamberlain family. Have to smile when you see this stone placed there. It's Nicholas Gilbert stone, and presumably the trees were planted each side as little cuttings. Now they are huge. There's really a lot to explore in this graveyard. You can go rummaging amongst the trees here. Memorials everywhere you look. And there's been some infilling in gaps in the graveyard. On the left we've got Millicent Teasdale, 1893, and Thomas Teasdale, 1925. But on the black stone on the right we have Edith Annie, wife of John S. Johnson, 1956. Here's another one with what are now 2 large trees planted either side of the stone, just mixed in with all the others. 3rd Air Mechanic R. Wilkinson, Royal Air Force, 1918, aged 38, and the family have added 4 words: "He liveth in glory." The whole graveyard seems to be in this lovely woodland setting. The trees do make many of the stones difficult to read, but this one's clear. John Pritt of Bolton-le-Sands. He died 23rd of October 1873, 47 years old. Isaac Pritt of Lancaster, father. He died in 1872. Jane, his wife, she died in 1869. Others are more difficult to decipher. This appears to be William Mashader of Lancaster, 1852. Just scanning across these stones, there's at least two war graves mixed up with the normal memorials. When I moved across and got closer to them, there were 6 or 7 war graves. Just picked this one at random. Private R. Dixon, Royal Lancaster Regiment, 12th of September 1915. Under the trees, but the inscription I imagine has been redone. Charles William Parker, 1899. Martha Hailwood Parker, 1899. Then their son Thomas Hailwood Parker, and a couple of others beneath there. I imagine the stone was relettered when the last one, 1990, was placed in the grave. 25 yards further on, I can see another 4 of the war graves. There appear to be at least 2 chapels of rest in this graveyard. That one down there, and opposite, and in the same design. This was normally done for the separation of the Church of England and the nonconformists. They had their lying in rest and their burials in different parts of the graveyard. Something we find a little difficult to understand nowadays. I'm looking across the graveyard and I'm seeing this huge monument, and I'm just hoping it's a monument to fallen soldiers rather than just some bigwig that owned a lot of land around here. Let's go have a look. Well, I'm pleased to tell you that it's actually a memorial to the Crimean War, or what they sometimes refer to as the Russian War. And on this memorial we have some 20 names of men who died in the Crimean War, from memory about 1855, somewhere around that sort of date. Unfortunately the memorial is very worn and it's difficult to read very much from it. We're getting some very long distance views here through a gap in the trees. A solid horizontal stone for Edward Dennis Demeter, a doctor, 1806 to 1878. In fact, I read that wrong. On the other side it's Janet Graham Dennis de Vitra, a V at the beginning. Next door and standing out in the sunshine, Harold Gilbertson Taylor, another doctor, the much-loved son of Dr. John and Catherine Taylor, late of Bayswater, presumably Bayswater, London, for 7 years Assistant Medical Officer of the Royal Albert Asylum in Lancaster. In the background you can probably hear a helicopter going overhead. Charles Purdon Silly, a master mariner, born in Belfast in 1861 and died in Lancaster in 1927. Charles Purdon Silly. Well, you can see here the graveyard extends right the way down the steep side of this hill. George Airy, aged 50, and Jane, his wife, aged 51. Their son, who died aged 11, and then also 4 children of theirs who died in infancy. That's 5 children that they lost. And next door, Joseph Smith Gorrell and Elizabeth, his wife, and then Edward and Edith Emily, children who died in infancy. A highly stylized top, and then the inscription, Emma Coupland, 1857, Henry Coupland a year later, 1858, and their daughter in 1868. Interesting bit of styling on the top. Next door we have Richard Coupland, JP, late Major, 5th Lancashire Artillery Volunteers. 1884, Isabella Ann, and then Jane, the 3rd daughter of the above, who died at Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, 1892, and their eldest daughter, who died in 1893. So another Coupland memorial. A very square stone, and the letters brought out in relief. And this is another Pritt we had there earlier on. Thomas Pritt died at the Higher Greaves near Lancaster, 1859. And a couple more brought out in relief, and these are Wingates. This is, let's just close up a little bit on that. Gertrude Wingate Saul, Lionel Wingate Saul, Phyllis Wingate Saul, William Wingate Saul. We move across to the one next door. Colonel William Wingate Saul, Doctor, and Marianne Wingate Saul. Oh, the key word here is obviously Wingate. Now this one has so much information, I won't attempt to read it all. We'll start at the top with Richard Hartley, Agnes his wife, John their son aged 12, Margaret their daughter aged 17, Robert their son who died 45, and then we got Emma their daughter, Martha Hartley their daughter, and it lists them right the way down the stone there. And at the very bottom we've got granddaughter of the above, Richard Hartley. So there's the whole family tree of the Hartley family. Lovely decoration on this one, all brought out in relief. And underneath it's Francis Sharp, eldest son of the late Edmund Sharp, Sidney Francis Paley Sharp, and a few dates down there. Commonwealth War grave with Sergeant H. Willen, MPS, Royal Army Medical Corps, 1947, aged 21. And the family have had added these words at the bottom: to a beautiful life came a sudden end. He died as he lived, everyone's friend. Here's a little cross in loving memory of Jean Fisher, December the 11th, 1925, November the 15th, 1926. So she was just 11 months old, and that is almost 100 years ago. Here's a memorial to twin sisters. Pauline Leck, nee Reed, 2016. Doreen Medlicott, 2012. Twins reunited. And on the top of the stone we have the picture of the twin sisters. Well, that's the cemetery here in Lancaster. It's a hilly one. It's at the top of a hill, and it's also built on a hill. But it's rather lovely with all the trees, occasional views, lots of interesting memorials. Certainly worth taking the time to come up here. Anyway, that's it. I've enjoyed it. Till the next time.